Garlic, so common in our kitchens, holds meanings that span generations. Far more than a simple ingredient, it symbolizes protection, purification, and a tangible connection to the divine. But are we aware of these symbols in our daily lives? In this video, we'll rediscover garlic as a powerful spiritual element, exploring its historical roots, biblical parallels, and how it can inspire our walk of faith. Get ready for a journey that will transform how you see something seemingly so ordinary. At the start of our journey, we encounter something so everyday, so simple, that it's easy to underestimate: garlic. Found in kitchens worldwide, it carries an unmistakable aroma and medicinal properties that have endured for centuries. But is that all? Could there be something deeper hidden within its layers? Beyond its practical use, garlic is imbued with powerful spiritual symbolism, a bridge between the physical and the divine. Since ancient times, it has been associated with protection against evil and spiritual purification, elevating its presence far beyond the trivial. But why garlic and not some other food? Across cultures, it has been used symbolically in oral traditions and rituals, especially those designed to ward off negative forces. Garlic is not just a spice, it represents something greater, a barrier between good and evil. Throughout history, it has been seen as a tangible sign of divine protection, a way to translate faith into practical action. So why not delve deeper into this spiritual connection? That's the challenge I pose to you now. Look beyond the ordinary. Together, let's unravel the mysteries surrounding this humble bulb and discover the role it plays in the journey of faith. However, every journey has its trials. Garlic, despite its significance, is often dismissed or reduced to superstitions. How many of us have only associated it with fantastical tales of vampires or popular legends without exploring its deeper spiritual symbolism? We're challenged to reconsider what we know, revisit ancient stories, and re-examine our connection with the elements that shape our spirituality. At this point, garlic becomes a symbol of divine protection, a physical act of faith that feels almost sacred. Its presence transcends the physical and points to a greater reality. In understanding the symbolism of garlic, we find more than a mere culinary ingredient. We discover a tangible reminder of our connection with God, a reflection of how He works through simple things to protect and purify us. And it doesn't stop there. Garlic teaches us that even in the smallest things, there's room for profound spiritual lessons. Like salt and oil, which symbolize purification and consecration, garlic carries a power that transcends eras in its simplicity. How can we see the extraordinary in the ordinary in our daily lives? We can start by recognizing that divine protection often manifests in ways we consider trivial. Garlic, with its symbolism, reminds us that faith and concrete actions are deeply connected. As you reflect on this, I ask you, what in your life has gone unnoticed but might be a reminder of God's presence? Share your thoughts in the comments and send this video to others who also seek a deeper understanding of faith. And, of course, don't forget to like this video to support our channel. As we advance in our journey, we travel through a timeline that takes us to the heart of ancient civilizations. Garlic, more than just a seasoning, was revered in cultures like ancient Egypt, where it was believed to carry protective and even spiritual properties. Garlic symbolized power and vitality, given to the workers who built the Great Pyramids to strengthen their bodies and spirits. This practice wasn't mere superstition, it reflected a profound belief in garlic as a channel of protection against forces threatening physical and spiritual balance. Over the centuries, garlic began to cross borders and take on new meanings in different traditions. In Hebrew culture, it was more than food, it was a symbol of consecration and purification. During the medieval period, it was used in rituals to ward off evil, serving as a shield against what threatened the soul. But how could something so simple carry such spiritual weight? That's the invitation, to see these ancient stories not just as cultural relics but as reflections of a universal human longing for protection and divine communion. The journey deepens with the trials that garlic faced throughout its history. During the Middle Ages, for instance, it was hung on doors to ward off evil but was also viewed with suspicion by those who didn't understand its symbolism. Often associated with popular practices, it carried a mix of reverence and skepticism. These dualities mirror our own internal struggles as we seek to understand the spiritual amid the everyday. In every culture, from the pharaohs to the Hebrews and Christians, garlic served as a reminder that divine protection was within everyone's reach, even in the humblest forms. Today, garlic risks being reduced to an outdated symbol in a modern era that often discards ancient traditions as obsolete. But is this dismissal a reflection of a greater disconnection from the spiritual values they represent? Take ancient Egypt, for example. The ritual use of garlic symbolized a bond between man and the divine. Are we ignoring the wisdom of these practices? The history of garlic is also our history, the quest for divine protection and the purification of the soul. We come to understand that garlic is not just a cultural artifact but a timeless symbol of protection and faith. It draws parallels with salt and oil, elements that purify and consecrate. Whether in a simple domestic ritual or as part of sacred traditions, garlic invites us to recognize that faith can be tangible. When garlic was used to protect homes, it wasn't just a symbolic act but a declaration of trust and divine care. It reminds us that spirituality isn't confined to the abstract, it lives in the everyday actions that reflect our faith. What can we learn from the cultures that came before us? Garlic, with its rich history, reminds us that small gestures of faith can hold great significance. Today, we may no longer hang it on doors, but we can still see it as a symbol of protection and connection with God. Before we continue, take a moment to share this video and comment on how you see spirituality in the small details of your life. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel to explore more stories that connect the past to the present. The Bible, with its richness of stories and symbolism, presents us with elements that transcend time. Although garlic is not explicitly mentioned, it finds a special place through symbolic parallels. Think of the elements used in Scripture: salt, a symbol of covenant and purification; oil, which anointed kings and prophets as a sign of consecration; and bread, representing spiritual sustenance. And what if garlic, with its long history and rituals, could also be seen as a silent metaphor for protection and faith? This is an opportunity to reflect on how the physical and the spiritual often intersect. Garlic, with its purifying and protective properties, reflects the same ideas as biblical elements like salt and oil. It represents the intersection of the tangible and the sacred, a reminder that God uses even the simplest elements to communicate profound truths. Across various cultures, garlic was used almost ritualistically to symbolize divine protection, echoing biblical traditions of faith and action. Isn't it fascinating how something so humble can hold such grand significance? How can we connect something seemingly trivial, like garlic, to the rich symbolism of the Bible? Perhaps you're asking, isn't this an exaggeration, or does this even matter? But it's in these questions that we find the essence of faith. The Bible teaches us that God chooses the humble to confound the wise, and garlic, in its simplicity, exemplifies this. It challenges us to see the spiritual even in the most ordinary things, such as foods that purify or acts that protect. It's a reminder that faith doesn't reside only in grand gestures but also in the small, everyday acts of devotion. In today's world, simple symbols like garlic are often dismissed as outdated or irrelevant. But could this rejection reflect a deeper disconnection from the spiritual values they embody? Just as salt and oil remain living symbols of purification and consecration, garlic invites us to reclaim a practice of faith that is both ancient and ever-present. It reminds us that spirituality doesn't have to be complex, it can be lived through simple actions, like protecting a home or preparing a meal with intention. More than a cultural symbol, garlic is a bridge to spiritual connection. It carries the idea of divine protection and personal purification, serving as a practical reminder that our faith is not separate from our daily lives. Like salt preserves and purifies and oil anoints and consecrates, garlic teaches us that God is present even in life's smallest details, calling us to recognize His presence in everything around us. Why not see garlic not just as food but as a symbol of protection and divine connection? It teaches us that small gestures can hold profound meaning. If this resonates with you, share your reflections in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel to explore more stories that reveal God's presence in every aspect of creation. Let's continue this journey together. We've reached the point where stories become practical, connecting spirituality to everyday actions. Garlic is more than just a symbol, it's a practical tool in rituals for home protection, personal purification, and blessed meals. For centuries, Cultures around the world have used garlic to strengthen their faith and create a tangible connection to the divine. From hanging garlic bulbs on doors to protect homes to using it in consecrated meals, garlic has consistently bridged the gap between faith and action in simple yet profound ways. These practices aren't just stories of the past, they are invitations to live an integrated spirituality. Have you ever considered how small gestures can carry deep meaning? Preparing a meal with garlic, for example, can become a symbolic act of purification and gratitude. Garlic, with its natural properties, reminds us that God gave us the elements of creation not just for physical sustenance but also for spiritual nourishment. It calls us to see the divine presence in even the simplest details of creation, yes, even in a humble bulb of garlic. In a world that often separates the spiritual from the material, such practices may be met with skepticism. How many times have we heard traditions like these dismissed as mere superstition or folklore? But the challenge here is to recognize the interconnectedness of the material and the sacred. Using garlic in rituals isn't about magic, it's about faith. It symbolizes divine protection and purification, not because it has power on its own, but because it points to God's greater power at work in our daily lives. The real challenge is overcoming disbelief and embracing the deep meaning these simple gestures carry. Garlic serves as a physical reminder of spiritual truths. Whether used to protect a home, symbolizing God's safeguarding presence, or for personal purification, reflecting the desire to cleanse body and soul, garlic teaches us that faith is practical. Its medicinal properties, celebrated by science, also reflect divine care for our well-being. What is good for the body can also be good for the spirit, reinforcing the harmony between creation and the Creator's original intention. These lessons invite us to bring meaning to our daily actions. When we use garlic, whether in rituals or in our daily routines, it can become an act of gratitude and faith. Think of the meals you share with your family. How can they become moments of consecration and connection with God? By applying these practices, we recognize that spirituality isn't distant but alive in every detail. Before moving on, share your thoughts in the comments on how you see these connections in your life. Like this video to support our work and help spread this message of faith in action. Let's walk this meaningful journey together. When we reflect on something as simple as garlic, we uncover lessons that transcend its physical nature. It's far more than an ingredient, it's a powerful symbol of God's presence in our lives. Its purifying and protective properties remind us that God uses even the most humble elements to teach us profound truths. Just as garlic strengthens the body and wards off harm, our faith protects and purifies us, equipping us to face life's challenges with courage and confidence. These everyday elements connect us to the divine in ways we often overlook. Have you ever thought about how God speaks to us through the simplest things? Like salt and oil, garlic carries a profound lesson. Spirituality is present in every detail of creation. It reminds us that we are never alone, that a divine presence watches over us and guides our steps. But are we paying attention to these signs? This is the invitation, to open our eyes and see the blessings hidden in life's small moments. Of course, the journey is not without its challenges. Trials arise when we forget these truths, allowing the routine to distract us. How often do we reduce garlic and other symbolic elements to mere curiosities or outdated traditions? But this is the real challenge, to reclaim practical faith, the kind that thrives in simple gestures. Garlic, with its symbolism of protection and purification, reminds us that spirituality doesn't require grand rituals, it lives in small actions that reflect our trust in God. By embracing the spiritual lessons that garlic offers, we deepen our connection with our faith. It teaches us that God's protection is constant, just like His blessings. Whether we use garlic to protect our homes or in meals shared with loved ones, it becomes a way to reaffirm our trust in divine care. Faith isn't just a concept, it's something we live and experience daily. Applying these truths transforms our everyday actions into acts of worship and gratitude. Look around. What in your life can symbolize your faith and divine protection? Why not start seeing the smallest things as reminders of God's care? If this content touched your heart, share it with someone who needs this message. Leave your reflections in the comments, and let's continue spreading this faith-filled inspiration. Garlic reminds us that even life's simplest details carry profound lessons about faith, protection, and gratitude. It invites us to recognize God's presence in everything around us, turning the ordinary into a reflection of our spirituality. And you? What in your life symbolizes God's care and protection? Share your answer in the comments, like this video, and share it with someone who needs this message. Don't miss upcoming content, subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell to continue this journey of faith and inspiration. See you in the next video.